We'll get started here. So I just do like a very brief promo because this is not really about promoting us. This is just a brief overview of who Edge is. I did receive that call or that question a few times now when we do these webinars. So really quickly, Edge does websites and marketing. So we develop marketing messages and strategy for our clients. Then we build websites. We've built hundreds of websites over the years. And then we do the digital marketing that comes with that. So the SEO, the paid online advertising on Google and Facebook, some content marketing, writing materials, social media, and then of course the email marketing and lead nurturing. So if you want to find out any more about that at any time, you can give me a call or an email, and I'll gladly talk to you more about that. So today's presentation is kind of a little bit part of a series. So we at Edge we're using like a 4-step digital marketing plan that we are implementing for our clients, and we have fine-tuned it over the years, and we're still fine-tuning it because things are changing all the time. But we believe there's 4 basic steps that every business should take to get their digital marketing in order. And today we'll be talking about the very foundational level of that. So the bottom in blue, clarifying your message. Like we believe that if you are able to really hone the message that you communicate with your clients and your audience, you're going to be like way ahead of everybody else, because there's a lot of confusion in the market. And we do get a lot of signals every day, or your clients get a lot of information every day. So it's harder and harder to stand out. And we believe if you can develop a clear marketing message, then you're way ahead of the game as far as your marketing goes. So we'll be talking about the bottom foundational step, clarifying your message. In future webinars, we probably will talk about some of those other building blocks as well. If just so you know that some of that information is coming as well. There's a lot of information that we have to provide for each and every stage. And these webinars are more or less to give you like a brief overview, or like a general overview of what it is and how it works. And then of course, we can go into way more detail later as well. But this is just kind of to whet your appetite to get a good overview of what it takes to build a solid marketing plan for your company. So again, we're going to talk about some of the communication challenges that we run into with, like a lot of our clients are small businesses or not-for-profits. We have a wide variety of clients, but they're not multinationals. They're not huge companies. They're generally just small business, the backbone of the Canadian economy. So we run into a lot of, all of our clients are struggling sometimes with getting that message out of the product that they provide, or the service they provide. So we will talk about that a bit more. Then we'll talk about the importance of clear communication and how it can help you to really stand apart from your competition. Then Katie will talk about the 7 steps to create a brand message. Now we're using a framework, like a system that was developed by Donald Miller. Some people on the call maybe have heard of Don Miller. Just to make this a bit more interactive, maybe if you have, type that into the chat box maybe, or raise your hand so we can kind of see if there's anybody that's familiar with that. But we've adapted that to our use to make it like really applicable to our clients, again, the small business. So, and then at the end, hopefully we'll have some time left to do a Q&A. And then you can do that verbally by just switching on your microphone, or you can just type that into the chat box, and one of us will monitor that what's happening there. So what are some of the challenges that a lot of us are running into, and we're no exception. We're just as for us to communicate our message is just as difficult sometimes as for any other small business. Well, of course, one of the first challenges that we run into is the information overload. Like we, on average, we get at least 3,000 commercial messages a day, and I think it's only increasing. like with social media now, with everything, it's basically changing, right? Or it used to be like the interruption kind of a model of advertising on TV. It has shifted now to online, but it's the same thing. People that have a service or product they want to sell you, they want to get in front of you to communicate that message. So to stand out with your company or with your product among all these other messages is increasingly difficult. So it's really important to, again, to clarify your message, to make sure people really understand really quickly what it is you offer and how it can help them. Another challenge that we see with a lot of small businesses is what we call the curse of knowledge. And what that means is we all are all experts in our field. We are either, we are excellent plumbers, or we're excellent website builders, or we really generally know what we do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business very long. But the tendency we have, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else, is that we use words and concepts that don't mean a lot to our clients, and actually doesn't speak to the problem that we're solving for our clients. So that's like a shift we need to make to whatever we write, whatever we communicate with our clients is simple enough that they can understand. It has nothing to do with their intelligence. It has everything to do with the competition and the noise that's out there that they have to deal with, right? So that's really important. So you need to break down if it's something that's complex that you're doing, you somehow need to break this down in simple terms so people are not overwhelmed by it. So that's a challenge that we small businesses owners have. Confusion leads to inertia, and again, if a customer is confused about what you have to offer, our first instinct is to say no. If we're not clear on what you have to offer and how it can help us, our default reaction is no. So we need to overcome that confusion. The best marketer always wins. And again, you've probably seen it in your industry too, that you feel you have a superior product, a superior service, but for some reason your competitor is running circles around you and is eating your lunch. And that's very frustrating. And I think we've all been there. But again, that's the competitor may be better at marketing, and his or her message is as just clear, and the offer they give to their clients is just more appealing. So again, that's something that a lot of small businesses do have to deal with. Now, the last challenge is that, although we think that we're very rational when we make decisions, and then the same for our clients, in reality, most people make their decisions with their emotions. If they like the company that they're dealing with, there's all kinds of things that go through their head, and it's not always the most obvious reason why they would buy from us. And as business owners, the better we understand that what really goes on in their minds, the conversation that's already going on in their mind, we're going to be in a much better position to develop a really strong marketing message. So what are some of the benefits of clarifying this for your company or organization? In marketing, the golden rule is to have the right message to the right audience and also through the right medium. But even those two things, the right message to the right audience, is really really important. And if you do it well, you have a message that really resonates with the people that you try to serve. Now, all of a sudden, those people, when they see your ad, when they land on your website, when they see anything that you post on social media, they go like, "Hey, that's for me. That resonates with me." Like these people, they're going to be able to solve my problem. So, also a big benefit of clarifying this message and your whole marketing approach is once you have that established, everything else that you create for content. So that could be the content, the text on your website. There could be emails that you send to your clients. There could be part of your paid advertising campaign on Google or Facebook, the blog posts, social media, all those things. But we have found, like once you clarify this message, coming up with ideas and having a strategy when you create a content becomes a lot easier. Because in marketing and advertising, repetition is really, really important. I have a very simple message that's repeated over and over again. You look at some of the large brands, that's exactly what they're doing. They have a very simple message and they keep repeating it. And of course, we know that repetition creates awareness, and people are acting on that. Another actually side benefit of clarifying your marketing message is actually for your staff, the people that work in your company, and not only the people that maybe interact with clients, but basically everybody from the receptionist until to the installer. If they really understand what the marketing message is of your company, and they understand why you're doing it. Um, for your clients, it becomes a lot more appealing oftentimes, and people feel they're part of a bigger like they're solving a problem that's actually is more than just fixing a plumbing problem. It's actually helping people lead a better quality of life, for example. So that's a side benefit that kind of is that comes with it once you go through this process and you communicate it with your staff. Then that's definitely a benefit as well. So then pretty soon I'll give it over here to you, Katie. But I just want to have this one introduce the framework that I spoke about earlier. So that's the 7-step marketing message framework, also called the story brand. If it's based on how movie scripts are made, okay. So what does a movie have to do with marketing? Well, Donald Miller has set up this system. And if you look at a movie, it has kind of a very predictable order of events, or like a script, or like an overall structure. And telling story, like movies tell stories, and telling stories has been proven to be a very effective way of communicating. If you tell somebody just the facts, people may not react or be able to remember that. But if you tell it in a story format, now all of a sudden people remember it, and it resonates better with people. So how the story brand works, the script is kind of like this. So there's a hero that has a problem. The hero meets a guide, and this guide is in the marketing would be you as the business owner. Um, that calls them to action. To move along in the script, you need to actually do something. um, well, before that, this person will comes up with the plan to help you. Calls them to action, that's the next step, and that may seem obvious, but it's very important to actually ask people for their business or take the next step. Then there's generally a villain in the movie, right? That kind of works against the hero. And we can identify many villains, I think, if you watch movies. And they try to derail the whole plan, but in the end, the hero, generally speaking, in a good movie, has success. So they achieve what they set out to become. So with the risk to kind of making me sound dated, like Christmas season is coming up, and in our family, watching The Sound of Music is just it's a must. If you don't watch the Sound of Music at Christmas time, it hasn't been, Christmas is not the same. So especially this year, maybe we'll have to watch it several times, because it'll just be the very few people in the house, perhaps. But basically, for the people who are familiar with that movie, Maria is the main person, and Maria has a problem because Maria doesn't know what to do with her life. She is at a convent when the movie starts, and she does not really know what to do. So what happens next? There's a guide, and that's a nun at the convent that gives her good advice, and kind of really speaks truth into her life. And she says, hey, based on the information we have, you should just go for it. You go back to Baron von Trapp and see what happens. So the next step is, of course, there's all kinds of obstacles that come in their way, including the good old Nazis that try to derail their plan, and a whole bunch of other things that come into the to the storyline. But at the end, everybody knows that they end up in success. And yeah, once they sing "The Hills Are Alive," we know that our hero has arrived. And that's why this movie has been watched so often. So the same thing. the things that Katie is going to talk about have the same kind of a concept, but now applied to marketing. So with that, I'll just stop talking for now, and I'll just leave it up to Katie. So you go right ahead, and I'll just move to the next slide.
Sure. So with the kind of structure that Peter kind of explains for movies is very translatable into business messaging. We can use these 7 steps to create a message for your business. So to start out, we start with a character who is your customer. We kind of want to dig in and put ourselves in their shoes to kind of learn what they want. Then we kind of have to want to identify the problem they have. As we kind of see a little later on, there are actually 3 different problems we want to identify for your customers. And as Peter said, we introduce you, your business, as the guide who gives your customer a plan. So we want to kind of lay out how your customer is going to be doing business with you. And then we want to create a call to action. People will not usually aren't motivated to take action unless they are challenged to. And then we kind of want to create what life would look like for the customer after they buy a product or if they don't buy a product. So we kind of want to set up successes and failures for your customer based on how, if they buy a product or not. So for the hero, we kind of, like I said, want to dig into getting into the mind or the shoes of your customer. So we want to kind of create an aspirational identity for them. Who do they want to become? What characteristics do they want to gain? And how do they want to be perceived to the world? And then we also want to kind of dig in and kind of understand what they want. We kind of want, by identifying what they want, they're kind of like, hey, you understand me, maybe you do have what I want. And now their want should be in relation to your brand, what your company has to offer. And this is, they come to you because, so with the want, one way someone kind of described it to me is you kind of have to figure out if the person wants a hole or a shovel to dig the hole. So it's kind of determining how that kind of works best in your brand. So after we kind of identify the kind of internal workings of your character, we kind of move on to their problems. Now with that, like I said, with the problems, we want to identify 3 different levels of problems that your customer is experiencing. First, we want to identify the external. This is the physical, obvious problem. What are they lacking? This could be like they don't have a car or they don't have a piece of machinery to get the job done. And then next, we want to move on to the internal problems that they're experiencing. This is the emotions, and it is based on the external problem they have. So that's why we kind of want to identify the external problem first, is what emotions are they experiencing without your product or service? Are they experiencing frustration, embarrassment? Are they just tired? So we kind of want to connect with that, especially the internal problem, because emotion is what usually drives someone to make a decision. So if we can connect on a personal level with your customers, they are able to form a better connection with you and your product and more motivated to make a purchase. And the third problem, level of problems we want to identify is the philosophical. So why is this problem just wrong? So this ties into the greater good and bad of the world. So you should be able to solve your problem, but it shouldn't have to cost so much to do so. Or let's say for not-for-profit, they are able to kind of connect, like there's so much bad in the world, but you're able to help by donating. So with the problems, it's very important to kind of identify that for kind of, again, putting yourself in your customer's shoes. And then after we kind of get to know your customer a little bit more, we can introduce you guys as the guide. So your business is the guide. Now the guide is a secondary character in your brand story. So we want to remember that main character, hero of the story is the customer, but we do want to identify how we as the business are able to create trust, and for the customer, why they should trust us, why they should trust to buy our product or service. So by identifying yourself as the guide, we want to create empathy and authority. So with the empathy, we again want to create a connection with the customer. So how you can relate to them. Usually with the empathy point, you want to do it through statements such as "we understand" or "we too have experienced." For authority, kind of explains why, again, you have the knowledge and experience to be the guide, and why the customer should trust you to buy your product or service. With authority, you can include statistics on your business, such as awards, recognitions, or even testimonials from previous customers, just to kind of, again, create that trust and solid foundation for your customer to kind of go ahead and make the purchase. Now, like I said, again, the guide, yourself, this business, is a secondary character in the story, so don't go overboard. Just keep the authority to a minimal level when you do include that in your messaging. And then as the guide, next we will create a plan for your customers. So by creating a plan for your customers, you're kind of laying out how they would do business with you, how they would make a purchase. So with creating a plan, we kind of eliminate the excuse like this is too hard or too confusing to actually make the purchase. And we want to keep the plan as simple and clear as possible to follow for your customer. So we kind of start at the beginning with a range for example, with Edge, the plan for us is to arrange a free consultation. And then we together develop a plan to create a marketing strategy or a website that works best for you. And then in the end, you have a website that creates more leads for you and looks great. So with the plan, as you can kind of see, we only had 3 steps. 3 steps is the optimal amount of things to include in your plan. You can have up to 5, but like I said, 3 is the optimal just because it keeps it simple and clear for your customer. And after we have the plan, we have a call to action. So people, if they aren't challenged to take action, their life will stay the same. So they have to be challenged to be able to make a change in their life, with change being a purchase from your business. So you want to create your call to action so it is easy to distinguish and follow for your customers. So with the calls to action, there are actually 2 different types of calls to actions that you want to identify when creating your messaging. The first is direct call to action. Of course, you've seen the big buy now buttons on websites. So those are examples of direct call to actions. So the direct call to action is directed towards people who are ready to make a purchase right away. And then the second call to action that we want to develop in your messaging is a transitional call to action. This is for those who are interested but not quite ready to make a purchase. So by creating a transitional call to action, we are able to develop a relationship that we can maintain a connection with the customer, and we're able to add value to that connection through time up until the point they're ready to make a purchase. So examples of a transitional call to action includes having them sign up for downloading an ebook, providing information on your business, the industry you're in, or your products, and then also like an email newsletter to keep them up to date on new products you have or new offers your business might have. And so by creating that long-term relationship, you're able to kind of build that trust and able to kind of keep them involved until they're ready, really ready to make a purchase. And then once we kind of have them prepared for making a purchase, we want to kind of create a vision of what life will look like for your customers if they do and if they don't buy your product. By creating the kind of image of life in the future for them, you're kind of doing the work for them again and making things easier and also kind of motivating them. So with creating a failure for them, you're kind of motivating them to kind of see like, yeah, life would be pretty bad if I didn't buy this product or service, and I would continue to experience the same problems that I am right now. So with failure, you do want to keep it very short-term failures. You don't want to kind of expand past too far into the future. Like say, if I don't buy the safest car on the market, I won't get in an accident. It won't cause something catastrophic. So we don't want to go too far, so much that we kind of scare them off. So we want to kind of keep it very short term, and the list of failures very short. So it's kind of like in baking. When you're baking, you have to add salt for a little bit of taste, but you don't want to add too much salt that it's like kind of makes it off-putting. So that's it's kind of same with failure. So you want to keep your failure to a very minimum and just keep it in there enough to kind of motivate your customers to make a purchase. And then so on the opposite end of failure, we want to create of what life would look like for your customer if they did buy your product or service. So that would kind of bring success for them. So what this with success, kind of opposite to failure, we do want to kind of create a longer list of more long-term successes. So first, your successes, you can create a list of short-term and long-term successes for them. Again, for success, we kind of want to connect to the aspirational identity that we created for the character at the very beginning. That kind of gives us a little kind of tap into, again, the customer. And as well, we kind of want to, again, connect with motions. Again, motions are very key in creating that connection and motivating them to make the purchase. And once we kind of have all those 7 steps together, we are able to implement it into a brand script. So brand scripts kind of like ad libs where you're able to kind of take those 7 steps that we created for your story and put them into an actual script. So the nice thing about a brand script, once we kind of have the whole thing blocked out, you're able to use it as a whole, or you're able to kind of use bits and pieces of it throughout different parts of your communications. So with your brand script, you can use it as an actual script, or you can use it in your social media, blog posts, or anything like that. You can use it through any part of your communications. Now, brand script, the nice thing about it is it does kind of give you a template to implement all those components that we created, but you are able to kind of rework it to kind of form something that works best for your messaging and your company as well. So as you kind of see, this is the brand script that was developed by Donald Miller with a StoryBrand framework. So you kind of see it is very much very ad-libby, kind of fill in the blanks. So it's very easy to kind of implement what you came up with before into an actual script, something that's usable for your company. And then we can also are able to kind of show you what we came up for Edge. So I'll just kind of read that aloud, just kind of so you can kind of get a feel for what the brand script kind of communicates. So at Edge Marketing and Design, we know that you want to be a successful business owner. In order to do that, you need a website that can be found online. The problem is you have an outdated website that is doing nothing but wasting your money and leaving you feeling frustrated. We believe that your website should not only look great, but also generate more sales. We understand you are busy and you shouldn't have to worry about building your website, which is why we have helped hundreds of businesses like yours create websites that attract more customers. Here's how we do it. Schedule a meeting. Together we develop a plan. And last, we build a website that attracts more customers. So schedule a meeting to get started. And in the meantime, download our free ebook on the 7 common mistakes to avoid when building a website. So you can stop wasting money on a website that doesn't work and instead grow your business online. So as you can kind of see, everything kind of meshed well into the brand script framework based on the criteria we kind of developed based on our Edge's customers and then also our brand as well. So again, we did kind of tweak it as well, some of the wording, so that's very nice. And as you can see that you can take quite a bit of the different pieces and use it individually. You can use the plan individually, or you can even use the very beginning, such as the who aspirational identity and the problem the customer has. So yeah, that is pretty much it, and I will pass it over to Peter.
Thank you very much, Katie. Well done. I know it's a lot of information, and this process, of course, we're just scratching the surface, but that's I think that's just how it is with these presentations. But again, what we were able to do for with this is actually really clarify our own messaging that we and the problem that we're solving. So it's been a really good, and of course we did this as a team as well. And if you want to go to this process, I would highly recommend it as well, that you get together your key people to go through this, because if you work on it together, now you also own it together. So if this is going to be an important part of your business. So if the more people you can involve in this, then you give your whole team ownership of this as well. So again, this the framework that Katie discussed is or the way we presented it today has to do with a commercial business, like with a for-profit. Now, the same framework can also be used for a non-for-profit. Like I know there's a few community organizations on the call as well, not-for-profits, and maybe organizations that don't necessarily sell anything, but they still have clients, they still have a message, they still have they're the stakeholders or the people that you work for. They still have the same needs, so it's very transferable as well on different situations as well. So just because we went through it from a for-profit business point of view, doesn't mean it's not applicable to other situations as well. So I just want to point that out. So yeah, like in conclusion, so if you confuse, you lose. Again, like what I said earlier, like if people don't really understand the offer that you're giving them, they generally won't ask for more clarification. They basically simply go on to the next thing, and it's especially true for any online purchase or even research that people do to make purchases. A lot of purchase decisions are being started online. So if they are not confident that you can solve the problem or have the service or product that they need, there's a pretty good chance that they'll just continue on with the next person on Google, and you lose out that way. So it's really important to get this right. Again, your customer is the hero, not yourself. Again, what we see for on a lot of websites in general, like we like to talk about ourselves, and that's not a bad thing necessarily, but the sad reality is that the people that are looking to hire you or to buy products from you are only interested in their own problem. And I think that may seem strange, but that's really how we are wired. Like we're all very, in a way, we're actually all very selfish people. We always we look at our own benefits, and there's a reason for that, and that's called survival. So again, by playing on that and making the customer the hero and just take on the role as a guide is a much better marketing approach than just giving them the features, the benefits, even the fact that your grandfather started the company. It could be it's an important fact because of course that proves that you are capable and you're in it for the long run. So I'm not saying those things are not important, but that's not the most important thing that your customer is thinking about when it comes to making that initial contact and engaging with you. So again, always focus on the problem that you solve in different ways. And then again, when Katie talked about taking this brand message and translate it into all the communications you do. There's a lot of different ways you can talk about solving the same problem. Use different scenarios, different examples, but it all comes back to this: what is keeping your clients up at night? Like what are some of the big problems that they need a solution for? So if you just continue in your marketing focusing on that problem more so than on your how you solve it, because in some cases people are not really interested how you solve it either. For example, this whole brand script process, oftentimes for our clients, they're actually not really involved in the actual nuts and bolts of how it gets done. They're just looking at the end result and how we can help them get to this brand message that does all these things. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Again, you also always want to be the trusted guide. These days, I think nobody likes to be sold to. So if in your marketing, you can just position yourself as the expert, the guide that can help people along to get where they want to go, I think it's a much better position to be in than just being a kind of a salesy kind of approach, and then you just push your product and you just keep talking about yourself. I'm not sure about you, but a lot of times you interact with people that only like to talk about themselves. I'm not sure about you, but like after 5 or 10 minutes, we kind of get tired of that, right? So that's the same in marketing. So try to be really respectful of your hero and do whatever you can to make their life better. Come up with a plan, a simple plan, like Katie said, the three-step plan is a classic, right? For whatever reason, we try to break down everything in 3 steps, so it doesn't seem overwhelming. It seems doable. It seems relatively simple, and of course, in a lot of cases, the products that you provide are actually very complex. So the key is to make something that's very complex in a way simpler for them to understand, for your clients to understand exactly what steps they need to take next to get to where they want to go, and what happens on the inside, sometimes in the kitchen, to actually get that result. Some people really want to be part of that. Some people say, no, we're looking for the result and you guys just do it for us. And that's more typical, I have to say. So again, creating that brand message will guide all your communications. That's really important.